Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. And now, the Friday Crime Report. I've told you about how John White in Staten Island, New York, was wrongfully sent to prison for defending his family from some teenage punks who had attacked his son and came to his home to threaten his family. To recap, Mr. White, who was black, had a son who had gone to a party with some teenagers. While there, a white girl at the party had accused him of something, and then some of the white males there jumped him. Mr. White's son was forced to leave the scene of the crime, but his assailants followed him by car all the way to his home. Now, these assailants acted like the Klan and other white terrorist groups of old, thinking that they had a right to terrorize black people. Mr. White told them to leave. They refused, and when one of them made a move for Mr. White's gun, it went off, leaving the menacing assailant dead. Mr. White was a black man in Staten Island, one of the most racist enclaves in the country, and a white jury sent him to prison. It took 5 months for the biracial governor of New York, David Paterson, to finally decide that maybe standing your ground applies to black people too. None of the thugs who attacked Mr. White's son were ever charged with anything. Now, those who supported those hooligans said that Mr. White should never have taken a gun with him after all. Those teenagers, they were just full of braggadocio and hot air. They wouldn't have done anything. Gee, if only there was another case like this that we could look at to see if that was true. Well, as it turns out, there is. This is Michelle Otto. On May 14th of this year, Michelle said her daughters, ages 16 and 18, woke up her and her husband because a carload of at least 3 or 4 very angry girls had just rolled up in front of their house. According to Michelle, the cause of this incident was that her youngest daughter used to be friends with a boy who was now dating one of these angry girls. I guess the angry girl must have gone through her new boyfriend's messages and found what's-her-name. Anyway, Michelle said that the girls in the car had waited outside at least 30 minutes without leaving, so finally Michelle went out to tell them to leave. The girls in the car demanded that Otto send her youngest daughter out so they could fight her. Of course, Michelle refused and told them to leave, which made them even angrier. They kept demanding the younger daughter come out and face them. Finally, Michelle said her daughter's not coming out, and one of the girls said either she's coming out or we're coming in. Considering that her husband was there, one has to wonder what he was doing while all this was going on. Anyway, Michelle told the angry girls that they were not going to enter her house, and then Michelle said that's when 2 of the girls, both age 14, jumped out of the car and jumped on her. She described one of the girls as having blonde hair, and the blonde punched Michelle in the face, while another girl with black hair jumped on top of her too. It was at this point that Michelle's oldest daughter came out, as well as her husband, who apparently has a cane, and used it to ward the blonde assailant off. The 2 girls who got out of the car got back in and drove off. Michelle Otto suffered 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and a concussion. She lost about a week from work and was plagued with headaches for weeks afterwards. After the violent assault, one of the girls who had attacked Miss Otto allegedly made a post on Snapchat bragging about the assault. Michelle's younger daughter took a screenshot of it, which apparently isn't available online, but one message allegedly read, "Imagine letting your mom get her ass beat." Another read, "Tell yo mom to come clean her blood off my window." The police eventually stopped munching donuts long enough to go ask the angry girls what they had done. They said that Michelle Otto was the one who attacked them and that they were just defending themselves. The blonde girl told the cops she felt as if she was assaulted, and when asked why she didn't call the police then, she said she thought she would get in trouble. Police at that time didn't make an arrest. Later, after eating some more donuts, the police suddenly remembered that old assault case they'd been neglecting, and they finally charged the girls. Now, you take a look at the nature of this crime. Stalking someone, coming to their home, threatening them, beating someone's mother to the point she has 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and a concussion. When you do something like this, you're not a child anymore, you're an adult. You've committed an adult-sized crime. This was a felony assault, as well as a number of other crimes to aggravate the charge, and their parents should also be up on charges for having such unruly children. And, had the assailants been black, that's exactly what would have happened. But they weren't. They were blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and hence immune from law. So all they got was simple assault. That's it. Now, you probably hear the word assault and you think, okay, so they got a Class C felony or something, right? Wrong. Under Missouri law, simple assault is a misdemeanor, with the penalty being possible jail time, but more likely it's community service, probation, restitution, counseling, or a fine. Now, since these assailants are genetically immune from law, the police said that they're going to get youth court. For those of you who don't know, so-called youth court is a program where juvenile delinquents get to have their cases heard by a panel of their peers, that is, other kids between the ages of 13 and 18 who have taken a 4-week training course administered by the Bar Association. Basically, it's a way to help certain youth who might want to pursue a career in law get a taste of the business. If found guilty in youth court, you can have a sentence handed down for community service ranging from 10 to 100 hours, or you have to do an essay or an apology letter and or appropriate educational classes. It's seen as an alternative to sending youth offenders to jail. If the assigned sentence is fulfilled, then the records will be destroyed on the offender's 17th birthday. An adult judge is the one who supervises this kiddie court, but that's what the youth court actually is. The police said that there is the possibility that this case could get moved up to family court where an actual judge would preside over the case, depending on the injuries. But that would be a distinction without a difference. It really wouldn't mean anything to the outcome of this case. Michelle Otto, of course, is not pleased with any of this, nor with the fact that none of the girl's parents contacted her at all, not even to give an apology. As she put it, "I was severely hurt. These girls seem to have zero regard for anybody, and to me it seems like they think they can do whatever they want, and they get away with it." You're right, Miss Otto. They do. Because when you have a system that is designed to make certain people immune from law as one of their racial perks, then when they harm other people, even of their own group, that's simply seen as collateral damage. The overarching principle of immunity from law based on skin color must be maintained. The system is mostly concerned with making sure that they don't get a felony on their records. They reserve those for black people accused of a crime. It's a shame that Michelle Otto had to find out like this that racial privilege and justice are incompatible. Our second crime report is a case you can file under blood is thicker than water, but it's not thicker than money. Nathan Carmen was 22 years old when he made headlines back in 2016. That was when he and his mother took a sailing trip and the boat mysteriously sank. They'd set out from Port Judith, Rhode Island on September 17th at 11:13 a.m. Linda Carmen, Nathan's mother, had told her friends they'd be back by noon the next day. That was the last time anyone would ever see or hear from Linda Carmen ever again. On September 25th, Nathan Carmen was spotted on a life raft off the coast of Massachusetts by a passing freighter. The story was that he had been on that raft for a week before he was rescued. Nathan was alone. The Coast Guard contacted him by radio to ask him what had happened.
Hello, this is Nathan Carmen.
Nathan, this is United States Coast Guard, Boston.
Yes, I hear you.
Yes, sir. I need to understand what happened. Over.
Mom and I, two people, myself and my mom, were fishing at Block Canyon, and there was a funny noise in the engine compartment. I looked and saw a lot of water. I had my mom bring in the reel. I brought the safety stuff forward, and I was bringing one of the safety bags forward. The boat dropped out from under my feet. When I saw the life raft, I did not see my mom. Have you found her?
No, we haven't been able to find her yet.
So he heard a funny sound from the engine compartment of the boat, and then seeing water suddenly coming into the cabin, Carmen claimed that he lost sight of his mother. I don't see how. This boat is barely the size of a dinghy raft, and he didn't say that she was in the engine compartment with him, so she was on the deck. Carmen said that the boat just dropped out from under his feet as it flooded with water. He saw the life raft, but didn't see his mother. By the way, this is the boat. It was called the Chicken Pox. That's an unfortunate name. Chicken pox is occasionally fatal. Carmen's mother did leave him an inheritance, but that wasn't his first move. That wasn't the first thing that he tried to file for. His first move was to file for the $85,000 insurance claim for the boat. The company that insured the boat denied the claim on the grounds of fraud, saying modifications Carmen made to the boat compromised the boat's stability, making it unseaworthy. A judge agreed and the insurance company paid nothing. And that was just the beginning of Carmen's insurance woes. In 2019, 3 of Carmen's aunts filed suit in a Connecticut probate court to block him from collecting the money from his mother's inheritance. And why would they do that? Well, you won't be surprised to learn that this wasn't the first time one of Nathan's blood relatives had died under mysterious circumstances after he was the last one to be seen with them. Nathan Carmen comes from money. His grandfather, John Chakalos, made a fortune as a real estate developer, making tens of millions of dollars for himself. The 87-year-old Chakalos doted on his teenage grandson, Nathan. According to prosecutors, Nathan Carmen thought about his grandfather a lot too, though for very different reasons. On November 11, 2013, Carmen purchased a Sig Sauer rifle in Hooksett, New Hampshire, about an hour's drive from his grandfather's home. So, on December 20th, 2013, only a few weeks after Chakalos' wife died of cancer, a then 19-year-old Nathan Carmen came over to have dinner at his grandfather's home. I can only wonder what the conversation went like. "Hi, grandson, what would you like to have?" "My inheritance, dude." The very next morning, John Chakalos was found dead, shot in the head 3 times. Investigators would conclude that the bullets that killed him were the same type of bullets used in a Sig Sauer rifle of the kind that Nathan Carmen had purchased. Prosecutors also say that Carmen discarded the GPS unit that had been in his pickup truck, and he also got rid of his computer's hard drive too. He took the 5th when investigators asked him why. And as for that Sig Sauer rifle, that disappeared too. Carmen took the 5th when he was asked about that as well, so obviously he has absolutely nothing to hide. After his grandfather's untimely passing, Nathan Carmen received over $500,000 from 2 bank accounts his grandfather had set up for him as an inheritance. But that was nothing compared to what Nathan's mother got. She inherited $7 million from her father. Now, there had been questions about the clear foul play that led to Chakalos' death, and there were even suspicions cast on Linda Carmen herself because her son was the last person that her father was in the company of on the night of his death, and apparently that didn't seem to bother her too much at all. But, as is so often the case, when it comes to some people, all of a sudden the authorities begin claiming there just isn't enough proof. So the investigation, if it could be called that, was allowed to wither on the vine. Nathan Carmen then went on to take his $500,000 and wisely invested and lived frugally so he could save his money, and you know I'm lying, that money flowed through Carmen's incompetent little fingers like water, and in only 3 years that $500,000 was gone. Unemployed, and with a house that he couldn't pay for, Nathan Carmen was in a tight spot financially. But by then it was September 2016, and in the middle of his severe financial woes, he decided that it was a beautiful day for a burial at sea. Allegedly. His last words to Linda, "A mother's love is priceless, but it don't pay the bills." Okay, he didn't actually say that, but you know he was thinking it. Nathan Carmen may have been unemployed, but he still managed to make a killing anyway. So he's now under federal indictment for multiple fraud charges and first-degree murder. Prosecutors haven't said what new or previously undisclosed evidence led them to charge him after 6 years. He's not being charged with the murder of his grandfather, however. Nathan's own father, who has not really been a factor in all this, he did stick his head up just long enough to say that his boy didn't do nothing wrong. I guess he thinks his father-in-law must have shot himself in the head with a rifle 3 times, and then conveniently got rid of the rifle before finally dropping dead. And he must also believe that his deceased wife should have taken swimming lessons. And already you got the legal experts splaining that Linda Carmen's body has never been found, neither has the boat, so without a body and without the ability to prove that the boat had been sabotaged, all the feds have is a circumstantial case. I suppose we'll see. So you have suburban thuggery from New York to Missouri, not just threatening children, but beating their parents black and blue. And in New England, you have unemployed trust fund babies pruning the family tree, allegedly. Yep, Those lawless Negroes in Chicago sure could learn a lot from those well-behaved, law-abiding folks out in the suburbs. If this is how certain people act when they have all the money and financial comfort in the world, can you imagine how they would behave without the system of goodies, giveaways, and guarantees that are the material benefits the white supremacy hands to them? I think we have a clue. Well, that's this week's Friday Crime Report. Keep your eyes open and stay on alert, because there's a lot worse criminals out there than the ones that the white corporate media chooses to show to you. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Wendell, Jean Florival, Roxanne Allen, P. Jones, and Eddie Newsom. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.